Hello. If you're ready to drift off, let's slip back through time to a world of rolling hills and candlelit nights, where a boy named Leonardo begins a story. Picture yourself in a tiny Tuscan village, Vinci, in 1452. The air smells of olive groves and warm earth, and the sun dips low, painting the sky in soft pinks. You're standing in a stone house, its walls cool against your fingertips, as a baby's cry echoes faintly, yours, or rather, Leonardo's. You're born to a notary's fleeting romance with a peasant woman, a start that's humble but brimming with possibility. Now, don't get too cozy in that cradle. You probably won't survive the chaos of Renaissance Italy without a bit of wit and wonder. So, before you settle in, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, but only if you're vibing with this journey so far. Drop a comment with your city and local time. Maybe you're in Tokyo at midnight or New York at dusk. I'd love to know where you're drifting off from. Now, turn off the lights, maybe switch on a fan for that gentle hum, and let's step fully into tonight's adventure. You're a child now, toddling through Vinci's dusty lanes. The village is small, just a cluster of stone houses hugging the hills, but it feels vast to you. You chase lizards across sun-warmed rocks, their scales glinting like tiny jewels. The Arno River gurgles nearby, its waters catching the light as you squat to study its flow. You're not just playing, you're noticing. The way a leaf spins in the current, the way a bird's shadow flicks across the ground. Your father, Ser Piero, is a busy man, always scribbling contracts in his notary's ledger, but he watches you with a raised brow, always staring. He mutters, half amused. Your mother, Caterina, lives apart, her smile warm but rare when you see her. You're illegitimate, a fact that stings in this tight-knit village, but also frees you. No rigid path binds your feet. You're maybe 5, sprawled in the grass, sketching with a stick in the dirt. A horse, lumpy but spirited, takes shape under your hand. You're not trained yet, but your eyes drink in everything. How the horse's muscles ripple, how the hills curve against the sky. You're already a collector of moments, storing them like treasures. By 10, you're trailing your father to Florence, a city that hums with ambition. The streets smell of leather and spice, and you weave through crowds, dodging merchants and stray dogs. Your father notices your knack for drawing and decides it's time to channel it. He packs you off to Andrea del Verrocchio's workshop, a place where art and sweat collide. Verrocchio's studio is a chaotic symphony. You step inside and the air hits you, thick with the tang of paint and linseed oil. Sculptors chisel marble, sending dust motes dancing in sunbeams. Painters hunch over panels, muttering about perspective. You're barely 14, wide-eyed but eager, and Verrocchio, a gruff man with sharp eyes, sizes you up. "Don't waste my time," he says, tossing you a brush. You grin, because this is where you belong. You start small, grinding pigments, stretching canvases, but soon you're sketching alongside the older apprentices. Your lines are fluid, almost too perfect, and Verrocchio raises an eyebrow. "This one's trouble," he jokes, but he's impressed. You learn fast, soaking up techniques like a sponge. You mix colors until they glow. Study how light falls on a draped cloth. You're not just copying, you're questioning. Why does a shadow bend that way? How does a face hold 1,000 emotions? You sketch late into the night, your candle flickering, as you wrestle with ideas too big for your teenage mind. One day, Verrocchio lets you paint an angel in his baptism of Christ. Your brush dances, giving the angel a softness that outshines the rest of the panel. Legend has it Verrocchio swore never to paint again, stunned by your talent. Historians still debate whether he was truly outdone or just proud. Either way, you're no longer just an apprentice, but it's not all glory. You're a bit of an oddball, even here. You're a vegetarian in a meat-loving city, refusing pork with a grimace. Why kill when beans taste fine? You quip, earning laughs and side eyes. And then there's the peacock incident. You buy a live one from a market, not to eat, but to study its feathers' iridescence. You let it strut around the workshop until it knocks over a jar of turpentine, and Verrocchio bans it. You're a menace, he grumbles, but you're already sketching the bird's tail, lost in its colors. Your quirks make you stand out, and not always in a good way. Florence is vibrant but judgmental, and you're learning to navigate its whispers. The city itself is your teacher. You wander its piazzas, sketching faces. Old men with weathered frowns, women with sly smiles. You watch masons build arches and wonder about their math. You're drawn to water, too, sketching streams and dreaming of machines to tame them. One night, you sketch a wooden bridge, collapsible, portable, wildly impractical, but ingenious. It's a hint of the inventor you'll become. You're young, but your mind is restless, already chasing ideas that won't fit on paper. And here's a little chuckle for you. You once tried to improve a fellow apprentice's painting by adding a comically large nose to his Madonna. He chased you around the workshop with a wet brush, shouting about respect. You laughed, dodging, but you learned to keep your pranks subtler. Florence is shaping you, but it's also a cage. You're too big for its walls, and soon you'll need a larger stage. You're still in Florence, the city's pulse thrumming through you as you navigate Verrocchio's workshop in the late 1460s. The air is sharp with the scent of turpentine and wet plaster, and you're no longer the wide-eyed kid fetching brushes. You're in your late teens now, a young man with a mop of dark curls and a knack for making everyone notice you, whether you mean to or not. The workshop is your world, a labyrinth of half-finished sculptures and easels, where you're honing your craft under Verrocchio's watchful eye. You're painting, sculpting, learning the alchemy of art, but your mind is already wandering beyond the canvas. You spend your days grinding pigments, ochre, ultramarine, lead white, until your fingers ache. The colors smear under your nails, a badge of your trade. Verrocchio teaches you to layer glazes so thinly that light seems to breathe through the paint. You practice on small panels, rendering saints and virgins with a softness that makes the other apprentices whisper. But you're not content with just painting. You're sketching gears and pulleys in the margins of your notebooks, ideas for machines that no one else dreams of. You're always asking why. Why does perspective trick the eye? Why does a lever lift stone so easily? Verrocchio catches you sketching a water wheel one day and snorts. Paint first, dreamer, he says, but you can tell he's intrigued. Florence itself is a feast for your senses. You wander the crowded streets. The cobblestones cool under your boots as vendors hawk bread and wine. The Duomo looms overhead. Its dome a marvel you can't stop studying. You sketch its curves, wondering about the math that holds it up. The city's guilds are buzzing with commissions, and you're starting to get noticed. A merchant hires you to paint a portrait, and you capture his wife's sly smirk so perfectly he pays double. You're not rich, but you're eating better than most apprentices, though you still turn up your nose at mutton. Plants are plenty, you say when teased, popping an olive like it's a point of pride. One quirky habit sets you apart. You write backward, from right to left, in a script only you can read without a mirror. It's not just for show. Maybe it's to keep your ideas safe, or maybe you just like the puzzle of it. The other apprentices call it your witch's code, and you let them, smirking as you jot notes about a mechanical lion that could walk. Historians still debate whether your backward writing was a quirk of genius or just a practical choice for a left-handed artist in a right-handed world. Either way, it's yours, a secret language for your endless thoughts. Then comes a major moment. You're tasked with contributing to Verrocchio's Tobias and the Angel. You paint the fish in Tobias's hand, giving it scales that shimmer like they're wet. The other apprentices gape. How did you make it look so alive? You shrug, but inside you're thrilled. It's not just skill, it's observation, Hours spent watching fish in the Arno, noting how light bends through water. You're learning to see what others miss. And it's starting to show. Verrocchio claps your shoulder, a rare gesture. You'll outgrow this place, he mutters, half proud, half wary. But Florence isn't all praise and progress. You're a bit of a misfit, too curious for your own good. One day, you decide to study a bird by tying string to its legs to see how it flaps. The poor thing panics, and you end up with scratched hands and a lecture from Verrocchio about wasting time. You laugh it off, but you're already sketching wing joints, dreaming of flight. And here's a chuckle for you. You once tried to improve a workshop statue by adding a clay beard, thinking it looked wise. Verrocchio made you scrub floors for a week, grumbling about your artistic liberties. You still think the beard looked good. The city's politics are heating up, too. The Medici family rules the roost, and their parties are the talk of Florence. You sneak into one, sketching the guests' silk robes and jeweled fingers. You're not highborn, but your charm gets you through the door. You overhear talk of war, trade, and art, and it sparks something in you, a hunger for a bigger stage. Florence is vibrant, but it's also a pressure cooker full of rival artists and watchful eyes. You're starting to feel the itch to move, to find a patron who'll let your ideas soar. You're still young, barely 20, but your notebooks are filling up sketches of faces, bridges, even a bizarre contraption for diving underwater. You show one to a friend, who laughs. What's next, Leonardo? A ship that flies? You grin, because you've already drawn something like that. The workshop is your home, but your mind is already wandering to Milan, to courts and kings. You're not just an artist, you're a dreamer, and Florence is only the beginning. You're still in Florence, the early 1470s wrapping around you like a warm cloak. The city's buzz is your heartbeat, but now you're not just an apprentice. You're a young artist with a spark that's starting to catch fire. You're in your early 20s, your hands smudged with charcoal and paint, as you fill notebook after notebook with sketches that spill over the edges. You're not just drawing faces anymore. You're capturing ideas, dreams, and questions that keep you up at night. The candle in your small room flickers as you hunch over a table, the air thick with the scent of wax and ink. Outside, Florence hums with life. But here, in this quiet corner, you're building worlds on paper. Your days are spent in Verrocchio's workshop, though you're now a trusted hand, not just a boy grinding pigments. You paint, you sculpt, but mostly you sketch. You're obsessed with motion, how a horse's muscles tense, how water swirls around a stone. You wanted the Arno River at dusk, its surface glinting like molten gold, and you sit there, sketching waves, reeds, anything that moves. You're not just an artist, you're a student of the world, and every line you draw is a question answered. One day, you sketch a valley, its hills rolling under a stormy sky. It's your first known drawing, the Arno Valley, dated 1473. The lines are so precise, so alive, that even Verrocchio pauses to look. You see too much, he says half joking, but you just smile. Seeing too much is your gift. This drawing is a milestone, a major historical moment. It's not just a landscape. It's proof of your eye, your ability to capture nature's pulse. You're not copying what others paint. You're showing the world as you see it, with shadows that breathe and hills that seem to shift. Historians still debate whether this sketch was a one-off or the start of your lifelong obsession with nature's forms. Either way, it's a glimpse of the genius you're becoming. You tuck it away, but it's a quiet triumph, a sign you're ready for more. Your quirks are starting to show, too. You got this odd habit of buying caged birds from Florence's markets, not to keep, but to set free. You'll stand there, untying the cage, watching their wings beat against the sky. Freedom's worth more than a song. You murmur, ignoring the vendor's scowl. It's a small act, but it's pure you, curious, compassionate, and a little eccentric. The other apprentices tease you, calling you bird boy. But you just shrug and sketch a sparrow's flight path. You're already dreaming of wings, not just for birds, but for humans. Though you keep that to yourself for now. Florence is a whirlwind of art and ambition, and you're caught in its currents. You're painting portraits for minor nobles now, capturing their egos with a sly brush. You're good at it, too good. Maybe one client, a pompous banker, demands you make him look godlike. You oblige, but you add a twinkle in his eye that makes him look more mischievous than divine. He doesn't notice, but his wife laughs, and you pocket the coins with a grin. Here's a chuckle for you. You once sketched a caricature of Verrocchio as a grumpy owl, beak and all, and left it on his desk. He didn't speak to you for 2 days, but you caught him chuckling later. You're learning to balance your wit with your work. The city's politics are a tangle, though, and you're not immune. The Medici family's grip tightens, and you hear whispers of rivalries and plots. You keep your head down, sketching in the margins of life. You're still vegetarian, munching on bread and figs while others carve up roast boar. You started wearing bright tunics, peacock blue, rose pink, because why blend in? You're young, talented, and a little cocky, but Florence is starting to feel small. You're sketching things no one else understands. A parachute, a screw that could lift water. What's this nonsense? An apprentice asks, peering over your shoulder. You just wink. The future? You're also diving deeper into math and geometry, teaching yourself from books you borrow or beg. You're fascinated by perspective, how lines converge to trick the eye. You sketch grids late at night, your candle burning low, trying to crack the code of depth. It's not just art, it's science, and you're blurring the lines between them. You're restless, your mind racing faster than your hands can draw. Florence has taught you everything it can, but you're starting to dream of Milan, of courts where your ideas might find a home. You're not ready to leave yet, but the itch is there, growing stronger. You're stepping into a new chapter now, your boots kicking up dust as you arrive in Milan in the early 1480s. The city's grandeur hits you like a gust of wind. Towering walls, bustling markets, and the Sforza Court's opulence shimmering in the distance. You're in your late 20s, your hair a wild cascade of curls, and you carry a leather satchel stuffed with sketches and ambition. Florence was your cradle, but Milan is your stage, and you're here to dazzle Ludovico Sforza, the city's powerful regent. The air smells of roasted chestnuts and horse sweat, and you weave through crowds, your bright tunic catching eyes. You're not just an artist anymore. You're a dreamer with a pitch, ready to sell yourself as more than a painter. You've heard Ludovico, nicknamed I.L. Moro for his dark charm, loves spectacle. So you write him a letter, bold as brass, listing your skills like a Renaissance LinkedIn profile. You can paint, sculpt, design fortifications, and, oh, by the way, build war machines that'd make any duke drool. You mention a bronze horse statue, bigger than life, to immortalize his family. Ludovico bites, and soon you're in his court, standing in a hall draped with tapestries, the air heavy with incense. You're nervous, but hide it, flashing a grin as you unroll sketches of cannons and bridges. Ludovico's eyes glint. You're a curious one, he says, and you're in. This is a major historical moment. Your move to Milan marks a pivot. You're no longer just Verrocchio's prodigy. You're a court artist, engineer, and inventor all at once. Ludovico commissions you for paintings and pageants, but he's most intrigued by your machines. You sketch a giant crossbow, a beast of wood and iron, and Ludovico nods, imagining his enemies quaking. Historians still debate whether you genuinely wanted to build these weapons, or if you were just playing to Ludovico's militaristic ego. Either way, your versatility keeps you in his favor. Your days are a whirlwind. You paint portraits for Milan's elite, their silks and jewels glowing under your brush. You design sets for court festivals, turning dusty courtyards into mythical groves with clever backdrops. But your heart's in your notebooks. You're sketching at all hours, the candlelight dancing on pages filled with gears, levers, and wild ideas. One quirky habit stands out. You started collecting oddities, a porcupine quill, a fossilized shell, keeping them in a box like talismans. Nature secrets. You call them, and you study their textures, sketching their curves. The court ladies think it's charming. The soldiers think you're mad. Milan's energy fuels you. You wander its canals, sketching water's flow, dreaming of pumps to control it. You're still vegetarian, nibbling on bread and grapes while others feast on venison. You've got a new trick. 2. You entertain Ludovico's guests by sketching their faces in minutes, exaggerating a nose or a chin for laughs. Here's a chuckle for you. One night, you drew a courtier as a sleepy turtle, and he laughed so hard he spilled his wine. Ludovico clapped you on the back, calling you his court jester with a brush. You take it in stride, but you're already planning bigger things. You're also diving into music, teaching yourself the lira da braccio, a stringed instrument you play with haunting grace. You perform at court, your fingers dancing over the strings, and the room falls silent. It's not just art or machines. You're a showman, weaving beauty into everything. But Milan's not all glamour. The court's politics are a snake pit, and you're learning to sidestep the venom. Ludovico's favor is fickle, and you're competing with poets, musicians, and other artists vying for his gold. You keep your head down, sketching late into the night, your room a mess of papers and half-eaten apples. One evening, you're sketching a hydraulic pump when a servant interrupts, saying Ludovico wants a festival designed by dawn. You groan but get to work, sketching a stage with moving stars. It's a hit, and Ludovico tosses you a purse of coins. You're thriving, but you're restless, too. You're dreaming of a horse statue so grand it'll dwarf anything Florence ever saw. You're also sketching wings again, inspired by bats you saw at dusk. If birds can fly, why not us? You murmur, ignoring the servant's puzzled look. Milan's giving you room to grow, but your mind's already soaring beyond its walls. You're deep in Milan now, the late 1480s, and the Sforza court is your playground. The air hums with the clink of goblets and the murmur of scheming courtiers. But you're focused, your hands stained with paint and charcoal. You're in your mid-30s, your eyes sharp with curiosity, and Ludovico Sforza's patronage keeps you busy. You're not just painting portraits or designing festival sets anymore. You're tackling something divine, something that'll echo through centuries. You're standing in a refectory of Santa Maria del Grazie, a cavernous room smelling of damp stone and fresh plaster. The monks shuffle past, their robes whispering, as you stare at a blank wall, imagining a masterpiece. This is it, the Last Supper. You're tasked with painting Christ and his apostles, a scene to inspire awe during the monks' meals. You don't just want to paint. You want to capture a moment, a pulse of human emotion frozen in time. You start sketching, your charcoal scratching across paper as you plan. You wander Milan streets, studying faces, merchants arguing, beggars laughing, lovers whispering. You sketch their hands, their eyes, searching for gestures that speak. You're not religious in the usual sense, but you feel the weight of this. You want every apostle to breathe, to betray their heart in a glance or a tilt of the head. This is a major historical moment. The Last Supper becomes one of your defining works, painted between 1495 and 1498. You choose tempera on a dry wall, not fresco, because you want time to perfect every detail. You layer colors, blending them until the figures glow against the stark wall. Judas leans forward, his shadow darker than the rest, clutching a bag of silver. Peter's hand grips a knife, his face fierce. Christ sits at the center, calm but heavy with knowing. The perspective draws the eye to him, the room's lines converging like a quiet prayer. Historians still debate whether your experimental technique, tempera over plaster, was genius or folly, as the paint begins flaking even in your lifetime. But for now, it's alive, and the monks gasp when they see it. Your quirks shine through, even here. You're notorious for dawdling, staring at the wall for hours instead of painting. The monks grumble, but you just smile, saying, genius needs time to simmer. You got another odd habit. You keep a pet squirrel, rescued from a market, tucked in your tunic. It scampers across your scaffold, nibbling your bread crust, and you laugh when it steals a paintbrush. My furry apprentice, you call it, ignoring the monk's frowns. The squirrel's antics keep you grounded as you wrestle with the mural's demands. Milan's court life swirls around you. Ludovico throws lavish feasts, and you're there, sketching costumes or playing the lyra to charm the crowd. You're still vegetarian, picking at figs while others devour boar. One night, you entertain the court with a joke. You sketch a noble's dog as a knight, complete with tiny armor. The room roars and Ludovico tosses you a coin, but you're already back to your thoughts, wondering how to make Christ's robe catch the light just right. Here's a chuckle for you. You once tried to test a paint mix on a monk's spare robe, turning it a garish green. He wore it for a week before noticing, and you had to paint him a new one to make amends. You're also sketching machines again, your notebooks bursting with ideas. You draw a double-hulled ship, a way to make boats unsinkable. Ludovico loves it, but no one builds it. It's too wild for now. You're still dreaming of that bronze horse statue, too, sketching its muscles and balance late at night. The court's politics are a tightrope, though. Ludovico's enemies circle, and you sense war brewing. You keep working, but the wall in the refectory is your sanctuary. You paint slowly, each stroke a meditation, the apostles' faces emerging like ghosts from plaster. You're not just an artist here. You're a storyteller, weaving emotion into every line. You stand back one evening, the refectory dim, and see the mural taking shape. It's not perfect yet, but it's yours, a moment of betrayal and love captured forever. You're tired, your hands cramped, but you feel alive. Milan's given you a canvas bigger than Florence ever could, and you're painting your way into history. You're still in Milan, the 1490s unfolding around you like a tapestry of ambition and intrigue. The Sforza court is a glittering maze, but you're in your element, your hands always busy, your mind racing faster than ever. You're in your late 30s now, your face lined with the intensity of a man who never stops thinking. The air carries the scent of wax from your candles and the faint metallic tang of ink as you sketch late into the night. Ludovico Sforza keeps you close, his trust in you growing, but he's not just asking for paintings now. He wants your mind, your wild ideas. You're no longer just the artist who painted the Last Supper. You're his inventor, his problem solver, dreaming up machines that could change the world, or at least win a war. You're standing in a dusty courtyard, the sun beating down, as you unroll a sketch for Ludovico. It's a tank, a wooden beast bristling with cannons, powered by men cranking gears inside. You've drawn it with sloping sides to deflect arrows, a turtle-shell fortress on wheels. Ludovico's eyes widen, and he claps your shoulder. Build it, he says, half serious. You nod, but deep down, you know it's more dream than reality. Too heavy, too clunky. Still, this is a major historical moment. Your war machines, sketched for Ludovico, mark you as a visionary engineer. Tanks, giant crossbows, wheeled cannons. You're designing weapons centuries ahead of their time. Historians still debate whether you meant these as practical tools or dazzling pitches to secure your place at court. Either way, they're a testament to your restless imagination. Your notebooks are bursting now, pages crammed with gears, springs, and wild contraptions. You sketch a catapult that could hurl stones the size of barrels, its levers drawn with the same care you'd give a portrait. You're fascinated by force, by how wood and rope can amplify human strength. You wander Milan's fortifications, studying their weak points and sketch moats and drawbridges that could outsmart invaders. Ludovico loves the showmanship, parading your drawings at court like trophies. You play along, but you're more interested in the math behind it all, the angles, the tension, the balance. Your quirky side is in full bloom, too. You've taken to wearing a long cloak, even in summer, because it feels dramatic. You sweep through the court, startling servants with your sudden pauses to sketch a cloud shape or a horse's hoof. And then there's the mechanical lion incident. You build a walking lion for a Sforza festival. Its belly stuffed with gears that make it roar and open its chest to spill lilies. The court gasps, then cheers, but you're already tinkering with a new idea, a clock that tracks stars. Why stop at lions? You mutter, ignoring the courtier's stares. It's pure you, part genius, part showman. Here's a chuckle for you. One night, you try to test a small catapult in your workshop, aiming at a stack of crates. You miscalculated, and a clay pot sailed through a window, startling a passing mule. The mule's bray woke half the street, and you had to bribe the owner with a quick sketch of his beast to keep the peace. You laughed it off, but you're learning to keep your experiments indoors. Milan's court is indulgent, but even they have limits. You're still painting, though less than before. You touch up the Last Supper, when the monks complain about peeling paint, but your heart's in your machines. You're also playing a lyre at court, your music weaving to the chatter of feasts. You're vegetarian as ever, dodging platters of roasted pheasant while nibbling almonds. The court whispers about your oddities, but Ludovico protects you. He sees your value. Still, the political air is tense. France looms, and Ludovico's alliances waver. You sense the ground shifting, but you keep sketching, your candle burning low. One evening, you're alone, sketching a siege tower that could scale walls. The idea excites you, but you pause, staring at the page. War machines are thrilling, but they're also dark. You flip to a new sheet and draw a bird instead, its wings spread wide. You're dreaming of flight again, of escaping the Earth's pull. Milan's giving you power, but it's also tying you to its wars. You're not sure how long you'll stay, but for now, you draw, your mind a whirl of iron and feathers. You're still in Milan, the early 1500s, and the city's opulence feels like a fever dream. You're in your late 40s now. Your hair streaked with silver, but your eyes burn with the same restless curiosity. The Sforza court is your anchor, though its politics are storm brewing on the horizon. You're standing in a candlelit room, the air thick with the scent of linseed oil and parchment, as you work on a painting that will outlive you all. A woman's face stares back from the canvas. Her lips curve in a smile that's both gentle and unknowable. This is Mona Lisa, and you're pouring everything into her. Your skill, your secrets, your questions about the human soul. You started this portrait a few years ago, around 1503, for a Florentine merchant's wife, Lisa Gerardini. But it's become more than a commission, it's your obsession. You paint her slowly, layer by layer, in a small studio cluttered with sketches and half-finished gadgets. The canvas is small, but her presence is vast. You study her under different lights, morning's glow and evening shadows, tweaking her smile until it seems to shift with every glance. You use sfumato, your technique of soft edges, to blur her contours in the background, making her feel alive. Her eyes follow you as you move, and you swear she's hiding something. Maybe you're hiding something, too. This is a major historical moment. Mona Lisa becomes your most famous work, a masterpiece that puzzles the world for centuries. Historians still debate whether her smile reflects Lisa's personality or your own enigmatic wit. Either way, it's a riddle in paint. Your days are split between court duties and this private work. Ludovico's demands keep you busy, designing pageants, sketching fortifications. But Mona Lisa is where you escape. You paint her in stolen hours, the candlelight flickering as you refine her hands, folded so delicately they seem to pulse. You're not just capturing her face, you're capturing time, mood, mystery. You carry the canvas with you, tucked under your cloak, refusing to call it finished. Perfection's a moving target. You murmur to a curious courtier, who nods but doesn't understand. Your quirky side is still alive. You've taken to wearing a velvet cap with a single feather, plucked from a goose you freed from a market. It's my lucky quill, you say, winking at the puzzled servants. You've also got a strange new habit. You collect small mirrors, using them to study reflections and light. You set them up around your studio, catching odd angles of your face or the canvas, and sometimes you catch yourself staring, wondering what your own eyes betray. The court whispers about your eccentricities, but you don't care. You're too busy chasing the next idea. Here's a chuckle for you. One afternoon, you tried to enhance a court banquet by rigging a tablecloth to rise with pulleys, revealing a tray of fruit. The mechanism jammed, dumping apples on a duke's lap. You apologized with a quick sketch of him as a Roman emperor, and he forgave you, laughing. You're still the court's charmer, even when your inventions misfire. You're vegetarian as ever, nibbling on walnuts while others carve lamb. And you still play the lira, its notes floating to Milan's halls like a lullaby. But the city's mood is darkening. Ludovico's power wanes as French armies loom, and you feel the tension in the air, sharp as a blade. You keep working, sketching war machines alongside Mona Lisa's serene face. One night, you draw a side chariot, its blade spinning like a nightmare, but you pause, troubled. You flip the page and sketch your smile instead, soft and steady. You're also studying rocks now, fascinated by their layers, sketching cliffs that look like time itself. You're dreaming of rivers, too, sketching canals to tame them. Ludovico loves these plans, but you know they're years from reality. You're at a crossroads, your mind torn between art and invention, peace and war. You stand back from Mona Lisa one evening, her eyes glinting in the candlelight, and feel a pang. She's not just a portrait. She's a mirror reflecting your endless questions. Milan's been your home, but its walls are closing in. You're not sure where you'll go next, but you know you'll carry her with you, unfinished, a piece of your soul on canvas. You're still in Milan, the early 1500s, but the city's glamour feels fragile, like a tapestry fraying at the edges. You're pushing 50 now, your hands steady but your beard flecked with gray, and your mind is a storm of ideas that never quiets. The Sforza court is faltering. Ludovico's grip slips his French army circle, and you sense change coming. But you're not thinking of politics tonight. You're in a dim, musty room, the air heavy with the scent of dust and old secrets. Candlelight flickers across a table where you've laid out a human arm, its muscles exposed, your scalpel glinting beside it. You're dissecting, chasing the body's hidden truths, and it's as thrilling as any painting. You've been sneaking into Milan hospitals and morgues, bartering with grave diggers for corpses no one claims. It's risky. Dissection is frowned upon, even forbidden by some, but you can't resist. You want to know how muscles pull, how veins thread through flesh like rivers. You sketch as you cut, your pages filling with sinews and bones drawn with the precision of a portrait. This is a major historical moment. Your anatomical studies, begun in earnest around this time, are groundbreaking. You're mapping the human body with an artist's eye and scientist's rigor, decades before anatomy becomes a true science. Historians still debate whether you kept these studies secret to avoid trouble or simply because you were too busy to share. Either way, your drawings are a marvel, delicate as lace, precise as mathematics. The work is gruesome, but mesmerizing. You lean close, the candle's heat warming your cheek as you trace a tendon's path. The room is silent except for the scratch of your quill and the occasional drip of wax. You're not squeamish. You're too curious for that. You see beauty in the body's machinery, in the way a muscle curls like a fern or a vein branches like a tree. You're still vegetarian. So the irony isn't lost on you. You'll dissect a human arm but won't touch a slice of pork. Life's strange, you murmur to the empty room, sketching a heart valve that looks like a cathedral's arch. Your quirky side shows even here. You've started wrapping your dissection tools in bright silk, a habit that raises eyebrows when a hospital orderly catches you. Keeps them clean, you say with a wink, but really you just like to flare. You've also got a pet lizard now, a spiky little creature you call my dragon. It perches on your shoulder while you work, nibbling crumbs from your bread. You sketch its scales, comparing them to human skin, and laugh when it skitters across your notes. The lizard's your companion in these late-night sessions, a silent witness to your discoveries. Here's a chuckle for you. One night, you left a half-finished sketch of foot on your table, and a nosy servant thought it was a demon's claw. He ran screaming, and you had to chase him down with a candle, explaining it was just anatomy. You drew him a quick portrait to calm him, adding a comically large nose for fun. He forgave you, but the story spread, and now the court calls you the wizard. You don't mind. It keeps them at a distance. You're still painting, though less than before. Mona Lisa travels with you, tucked in your satchel, her smile unfinished but ever-present. You touch her up when you can, but these days, your heart's in the body's mysteries. You're also sketching machines again, pumps, cranes, a diving bell that can let a man breathe underwater. Ludovico's too distracted by war to care, but you keep drawing, your notebook's a jumble of bones and gears. The court's chaos is creeping closer, though. French troops are near, and Milan feels like a ship taking on water. You're loyal to Ludovico, but you're practical, too. You're starting to think of Florence again, or maybe somewhere new. One night, you pause, your scalpel hovering over a vein. You're tired, your eyes burning, but you can't stop. You sketch a spine, its curves like a riverbed, and feel a thrill. You're not just an artist or an inventor. You're a map maker, charting the body's uncharted lands. You clean your tools, wrap them in silk, and blow out the candle. The lizard rustles in its box, and you smile. Milan's falling apart, but you're building something eternal. One sketches to sketch at a time. You're still in Milan, but it's the early 1500s, and the city's golden days are fading fast. You're nearing 50, your hands calloused from years of sketching and painting, your beard a wild mix of gray and brown. The Sforza court is crumbling. Ludovico's power has slipped, and French troops now swagger through Milan streets. The air smells of smoke and uncertainty, but you're undeterred, your mind soaring above the chaos. You're standing on a hill outside the city at dusk, the sky streaked with pink and gold, watching bats flit through the air. Their wings fascinate you, leathery and precise, and you're sketching them furiously, dreaming of flight. You're not just an artist or an engineer now. You're chasing the impossible, a man who wants to touch the sky. You've been obsessed with flight for years, but now it's consuming you. You fill notebooks with drawings of wings, gliders, and strange contraptions that could lift a man off the ground. You study birds and bats, noting how their bones are light yet strong, how their wings catch the wind. One sketch shows a wooden frame covered in linen, with straps for a pilot's arms. You call it a flying machine, and you're half convinced it could work. You test small models, tossing them from your window, watching them glide or crash into the courtyard below. This is a major historical moment. Your flying machine designs, created around 1505, are among the earliest attempts to engineer human flight. Historians still debate whether you ever built a full-scale version, or if these were just dreams on paper. Either way, they show your mind reaching beyond the Renaissance, toward a future you can only imagine. Your days are a blur of work and wonder. You're still tied to the court, sketching fortifications of French now, since Ludovico's gone. But your heart's in your notebooks, where wings share space with canals and catapults. You're living in a cramped room near Milan Cathedral. Its spires visible from your window, inspiring your sketches of height and ascent. The room smells of ink and dried herbs. You're still vegetarian, munching on olives while others gnaw on sausage. Your pet lizard, your dragon, is still with you, skittering across your desk, nibbling crumbs. You've added another quirk. You started tying tiny paper wings to its back just to see how it moves. My test pilot. You joke, though it mostly just flops off the table. Here's a chuckle for you. One night, you launched a paper glider from your window, aiming for a soft landing. It sailed beautifully, right into a passing merchant's hat. He cursed, thinking it was a bird, until you leaned out, apologizing with a grin and a quick sketch of his startled face. You gave him the drawing, and he left laughing, calling you that mad artist. You're used to the label by now. It's practically a badge of honor. You're still painting, though sparingly. Mona Lisa's always with you, her canvas tucked in your satchel, her smile a quiet companion. You touch her up when inspiration strikes, but your focus is flight. You're also studying wind now, sketching spirals to show how air moves. You climb hills to feel the breeze, holding up a cloth to watch it ripple, then sketching its folds. You're not just dreaming of flying. You're studying it, breaking it down into lines and forces. You write backward, as always, your witch's code, filling pages with notes about lift and drag, words no one else understands. Milan's new rulers, the French, are intrigued by you, but they don't know what to make of your ideas. They commission a portrait or two, but your talk of flying machines raises eyebrows. Stick to painting. One officer says, half joking. You nod, but you're already sketching a parachute, a silk canopy to float a man safely down. The city's tension, chaos keeps you grounded, though your mind is in the clouds. You're restless, feeling Milan's limits. You're thinking of Florence again, or maybe somewhere new, where your wings might find room to spread. One evening, you stand on your hill, a model glider in hand. The stars are out, and you launch it, watching it catch the breeze. It dips, then soars, and your heart leaps. You're not there yet, but you're close, so close, to touching the sky. You tuck the model under your arm and head back, your mind buzzing with angles and wind. Milan's falling, but you're rising, carried by dreams of flight. You're leaving Milan behind now, the year around 1500, and you find yourself in Venice, a city that floats like a dream on its shimmering lagoons. You're just past 50, your cloak dusted with travel, your satchel heavy with sketches, including that ever-present Mona Lisa. The air smells of salt and seaweed, and you hear the slap of waves against stone as you wander narrow alleys, your boots echoing on bridges. Venice is a maze of water and light, its canals glinting under the sun, and you're here on a brief sojourn, drawn by its strangeness and the whispers of opportunity. The city's at war with the Ottoman Empire, and you've come with ideas, bold, impractical ones, to protect this fragile republic. You're standing on a dock, the wind tugging at your beard, as you present sketches to Venetian officials. You propose a wild plan, a movable dam to block enemy ships, a system of underwater defenses to sink invaders. You've drawn divers with breathing tubes, men swimming beneath the waves to sabotage Ottoman galleys. The officials lean in, intrigued but skeptical, their robes fluttering in the breeze. This is a major historical moment. Your Venetian proposals, crafted around 1500, show your engineering mind at its most audacious. You're not just an artist. You're a strategist, dreaming up ways to save a city from the sea. Historians still debate whether your plans were practical or just dazzling fantasies to win favor. Either way, they're a glimpse of your boundless imagination. You spend your days exploring Venice's waterways, sketching gondolas and the way light fractures on canals. You're fascinated by water, always have been, and you draw its currents with the same care you gave the Last Supper. You're staying in a small room near the Rialto. Its walls damp but the view breathtaking. At night, you sketch by candlelight, the air thick with the scent of wax and fish. You're still vegetarian, nibbling on bread and apples while others feast on squid. Your pet lizard, your dragon, is still with you, curled in a box, though you stopped tying paper wings to it after it nearly escaped into a canal. Your quirky side thrives here. You've taken to wearing a scarf dyed sea green, a nod to Venice's watery heart. You've also started collecting bits of glass from Murano, fascinated by their colors and the way they bend light. You keep them in a pouch, rattling like tiny treasures, and sketch their refractions, wondering if they hold secrets for your paintings. The Venetians find you odd but charming, especially when you entertain them with quick sketches of their boats or dogs. Here's a chuckle for you. One day, you try to improve a gondolier's or by carving a spiral design into it, thinking it'd move water better. It didn't, and he nearly tipped you into the canal. You laughed, sketched a scowl, and gave him the drawing as an apology. He framed it. You're still tinkering with flight. 2. Venice's open skies inspire you, and you sketch kites shaped like bird wings, imagining them soaring over the lagoon. You're also studying the city's architecture, its arches and domes, sketching their curves with a mathematician's eye. But Venice isn't home. It's a stopover, and you feel it. The city's leaders don't fully trust your wild ideas, and you're not one for their endless bureaucracy. You're still carrying Mona Lisa, touching her up when the mood strikes, her smile a quiet anchor. You're also sketching faces again, capturing Venice's mix of sailors, merchants, and masked revelers from the carnival. The war's shadow looms, though. You hear talk of Ottoman ships, and the city's tension seeps into your bones. You're not a soldier, but you feel the weight of your designs. Lives could depend on them. One evening, you stand by the Grand Canal, watching torches reflect on the water. You sketch a wave, its crest curling like a wing, and feel a pang. Venice is beautiful, but it's not where you'll stay. You're already thinking of Florence, of returning to familiar streets, or maybe somewhere new. You tuck your sketches away, pat your lizard's box, and head back to your room. The night is soft, and you're dreaming of what's next. You're back in Florence now, around 1500, and the city welcomes you like an old friend, its familiar streets buzzing with new energy. You're just past 50, your cloak dusted from travel, your satchel heavy with sketches, and that ever-present Mona Lisa. The Arno River glitters in the sun, and the air smells of leather, bread, and the faint tang of paint from workshops nearby. Florence has changed since your youth, more crowded, more ambitious, but it feels like home, its hills and spires stirring memories of your early days with Verrocchio. You're here to paint, to invent, to prove yourself again, but there's a new rival in town. Michelangelo, young and fiery, his chisel already carving a name into Florence's heart. You're standing in the Palazzo Vecchio, the city's grand hall, where the Signoria has commissioned you to paint a massive mural, the Battle of Anghiari. It's a sprawling scene of war, horses rearing, men clashing in a storm of dust and fury. You dive in, sketching with a fever, your charcoal capturing the twist of a soldier's face, the strain of a horse's flank. This is a major historical moment. Your work on the Battle of Anghiari, begun around 1503, is meant to rival Michelangelo's Battle of Cassina on the opposite wall. It's a clash of titans, you and him, Florence's old genius versus its young star. Historians still debate whether your mural's unfinished state was due to technical flaws or your restless mind moving on. Either way, it's a testament to your ambition. You set up in a workshop, the air thick with the scent of oil and plaster. You're experimenting again, using a new technique with wax and heat to bind paint, but it's tricky and the wall resists you. You sketch horses in motion, their muscles taut, their eyes wild, drawing on your old studies of anatomy. You're not just painting a battle. You're painting chaos, life, the raw pulse of conflict. You wander Florence's streets for inspiration, sketching mercenaries in their scarred faces, their hands gripping swords. You're still vegetarian, dodging meat stalls while munching figs, your pet lizard tucked in a box in your room. You've named it Draco now, and you swear it watches you paint. Your quirky side is in full bloom. You've taken wearing a long, rose-colored tunic that billows dramatically, earning stares from passers-by. You've also started collecting river pebbles, their smooth shapes inspiring sketches of water's flow. You keep them in a sack, rattling like coins, and sometimes roll them in your hands while thinking. The Florentines call you eccentric, but they're proud you're back. You entertain them with quick sketches at taverns, drawing a barmaid's smile or a drunkard's slouch. Here's a chuckle for you. One night, you sketched a pompous noble as a puffed-up rooster, feathers and all. He didn't see it, but the tavern roared, and you slipped out before he could complain. Michelangelo's presence stings, though. He's brash, younger, and his David is the talk of Florence. Its marble gleaming in the Piazza della Signoria. You pass it one day, your eyes tracing its lines, and you mutter, "Not bad." But you feel the pressure. His star is rising, and you're no longer the city's only genius. You keep working, sketching late into the night, your candle flickering. You're also tinkering with machines again, drawing a canal to divert the Arno, a wild plan to make Florence a port city. The Signoria listens but hesitates. It's too grand, too costly. You shrug, used to your ideas outpacing reality. You're still carrying Mona Lisa, touching her up when the mood strikes. Her smile feels like a secret you share with Florence, a city that shaped you. You're also studying optics now, sketching light rays and lenses, wondering how eyes see. You're restless, your mind a whirl of battles, rivers, and rivals. One evening, you stand in the Palazzo Vecchio, staring at your half-finished mural. The horses seem to leap from the wall, but the paint's already cracking. You sigh, knowing you'll leave it unfinished. Florence is home, but it's also a cage, and you're starting to dream of somewhere new, somewhere your ideas can breathe. You're leaving Florence behind now, the year around 1513, and you're journeying to France, a land of new promise. You're in your early 60s, your hair and beard a cascade of silver, but your eyes still spark with that restless curiosity. Your satchel is heavier than ever, stuffed with notebooks, sketches, and the ever-present Mona Lisa, her smile a quiet companion. The road to France is long, winding through mountains and valleys, the air crisp with the scent of pine and damp earth. You're headed to the court of King Francis I, a young monarch who's heard of your genius and wants you close. The invitation feels like a lifeline. Florence and Milan have grown heavy with rivalries and wars, and you're ready for fresh canvas. You arrive in Amboise, a Loire Valley town where the king's chateau looms over the river. The air smells of blooming lavender and fresh bread, and you settle into a manor called Clos Luce, a gift from Francis. It's a cozy place, its stone walls warmed by firelight, and you feel a rare peace here. The king treats you like a sage, not just an artist, calling you my father and hanging on your words. This is a major historical moment. Your move to France around 1516 marks the final chapter of your life, where you're celebrated not just for painting, but for your mind. Historians still debate whether Francis valued your art or your ideas more. Either way, you're a star in his court, free to dream and create. Your days are slower now, but no less full. You wander the chateau's gardens, sketching their paths and fountains, imagining ways to make them grander. You design a spiral staircase, its curves like a river's flow, and Francis marvels at your plans. You're also staging spectacles, elaborate pageants with moving sets and fireworks that light up the Loire's banks. You sketch a mechanical line again, like the one you build in Milan, its gears clicking to scatter flowers. The court gasps, and you smile, knowing you've still got the old magic. You're still vegetarian, sipping wine and nibbling almonds while others feast on duck. Your pet lizard Draco is gone now, but you've adopted a stray cat. Its purr as soft as you sketch by candlelight. Your quirky side shines through. You've taken wearing a fur-lined cloak, even in spring, because it feels regal. You've also started collecting snail shells, their spirals fascinating you as much as your old river pebbles. You keep them on your desk, sketching their curves, seeing math in their twists. The French courtiers find you charmingly odd, especially when you entertain them with quick sketches of their faces, adding a playful curl to a mustache. Here's a chuckle for you. One night, you rigged a banquet table to sing with hidden bellows, startling a noble into spilling his soup. You apologized with a sketch at him as a jovial satyr, and he laughed, forgiving you instantly. You're still tinker with ideas, canals, mirrors, even a new fly machine with lighter wings. You sketch late into the night, your hands slower, but your mind as sharp as ever. You're also teaching now, passing your knowledge to young artists like Francesco Melzi, who follows you like a son. You show him Mona Lisa, still unfinished, and he stares, awed by her mystery. You're studying light again, sketching how it bends through glass, and you're planning a new palace for Francis, though you know your strength is fading. The French court is kin to the Milans or Florences, but you feel time slipping. You walk the gardens at dusk, the Loire reflecting stars, and think of Vinci, of the hills where you chased lizards as a boy. You're not done yet. You're sketching a water wheel, a festival, a dream. But France feels like a gentle pause, a place to breathe. You sit by the fire, your cat curled beside you, and add a line to a sketch. The night is soft and you're content for now to let your ideas ripple like the river outside. You're settled in Amboise now, in the heart of France's Loire Valley, around 1517. The Chateau of Claus-Luce is your home. Its stone walls glow in the soft French light, the air sweet with the scent of roses and river mist. You're in your mid-60s, your beard a snowy cascade, your hands slower but still tracing lines of genius on paper. King Francis, I treat you like a treasure, giving you freedom to dream, to create, to simply be. You're no longer scrambling for commissions or dodging court politics. You're a sage, a philosopher artist, and the young king seeks your counsel as much as your art. Tonight, you're in your study, the fire crackling, as you sketch a garden plan for the chateau, its paths curling like the spirals you love. Your days are filled with gentle work. You design elaborate festivals for Francis, turning courtyards into enchanted forests with painted backdrops and mechanical wonders. You've crafted another moving lion, its gears where it open its chest and reveal a fleur-de-lis, delighting the court. This is a major historical moment. Your time in France, particularly your work on spectacles and architectural plans from 1516 to 1518, shows you as a master more than paint. Your shaping experiences, blending art and engineering to dazzle. Historians still debate whether these late projects were practical or purely theatrical. Either way, they cement your place as a Renaissance polymath, a man who turns ideas into magic. You wander the chateau's grounds, sketching fountains that could dance with water, their jets timed to music. You're fascinated by flow as always, and you draw channels to irrigate the gardens, imagining a Loire tamed by your designs. Your cat, now named Luna for her moonlit eyes, pads beside you, batting at fallen leaves. You're still vegetarian, savoring figs and warm bread while the court indulges in venison. Your quirks are softer now. You've taken to tying ribbons around your sketchbooks, each a different color to mark your mood. Blue for dreams, you say, showing a page of Francesco Melzi, your loyal student, who smiles at your whimsy. Here's a chuckle for you. During one festival, you rigged a canopy to sprinkle rose petals on the crowd, but the mechanism jammed, dumping a pile on a pompous ambassador. You sketched him as a flower-crowned faun to apologize, and he laughed, pinning the drawing to his chamber wall. You're still charming the court, even when your inventions misfire. You've also started collecting feathers, plucked from the chateau's peacocks, their iridescence sparking ideas for new paints. You keep them in a jar, their colors glowing in the candlelight as you sketch late into the night. You're still carrying Mona Lisa, though you paint her less now. Her smile a quiet presence in your room. You show her to Francis one evening, and he stares captivated, saying she seems to breathe. You're also sketching anatomy again, refining old drawings of hearts and lungs, though your hands tire faster. You teach Melzi your sfumato technique, watching him try to blur edges like you do. You're passing on your secrets, knowing your time is short. You're also dreaming of a new palace of Francis, its halls vast and light-filled, though you know you may not live to see it built. The lawyer's beauty soothes you. You walk its banks at dusk, sketching reeds and ripples, feeling a kinship with the water. You're weaker now, your steps careful, but your mind is still a storm of ideas, bridges, wings, a machine to polish mirrors. France is kind, but you miss Italy's sun, its hills. You think of Vinci, of the lizards you chase as a boy, and smile. You're not done yet. You sketch a spiral staircase. Its curves like a shell and feel alive. Luna curls by the fire, and you add a line to your garden plan. The night soft around you. You're deep in the Loire Valley now, in Amboise, around 1518, and the weight of time presses gently on your shoulders. You're in your late 60s, your silver hair and beard flowing like a river, your hands trembling slightly as they grip a quill. Cloths loose, your manor is a haven, its walls warmed by firelight, the air carrying the soft scent of lavender from the gardens outside. King Francis I still visits, his youthful energy a contrast to your quiet wisdom, but you're slowing down, your body betraying a mind that still races with ideas. You're sitting by a window tonight, the Loire River glinting under moon, as you sketch faintly, a bridge, a wing, a dream that won't let go. Your days are gentle, filled with reflection. You no longer chase grand commissions, but you tinker with old projects, revisiting notebooks crammed with sketches from Milan, Florence, Venice. You leaf through pages of flying machines, their wings delicate as spiderwebs, and smile, remembering the bats you watched in Milan's dusk. You're also refining your anatomical drawings, tracing the curve of a heart or the twist of a spine. This is a major historical moment. Your late life reflections, particularly in 1518 to 1519, show you compiling your work, trying to organize a lifetime of ideas. Historians still debate whether you meant to publish these notebooks or kept them private, a secret hoard of genius. Either way, they're a testament to a mind that never stopped. You wander the chateau's gardens, leaning on a cane now, your cat Luna padding beside you. You sketch the Loire's banks, its reeds swaying, and think of the Arno, of Vinci's hills where you first drew rivers. You're still vegetarian, nibbling on walnuts and soft bread, though the court's feasts tempt others with pheasant and wine. Your quirks are quieter now. You've taken to humming old Italian songs while you work, a habit that makes Francesco Melzi, your student, smile. You've also started weaving tiny braids into your beard, each tied with thread from your colored ribbons. A map of my thoughts, you call it, chuckling when a courtier stares. Here's a chuckle for you. One afternoon, you tried to test a small water wheel model in a garden stream, hoping to show Francis a new irrigation trick. It spun wildly, splashing in nearby noble silk shoes. You sketched him as a soggy river god to make amends, and he laughed, framing the drawing in his chambers. You're still charming, even as your strength fades. You keep your feather collection close, their iridescence sparking memories of painting Mona Lisa, who rests in your room, her canvas untouched but ever watchful. You teach Melzy more now. Show him how to draw lights bend or muscles pull. You're passing on your secrets, knowing time is short. You're also sketching for Francis, a canal, a festival, a dream of a palace that might outlive you. Your health falters, though. Some days you can barely hold a quill. You sit by the fire, Luna curl at your feet, and think of your life. The boy in Vinci, the artist in Florence, the inventor in Milan. You've chased flight, mapped bodies, painted souls. You flip open a notebook, tracing a wing from years ago, and feel a pang. You're not done, but you're tired. One evening, you walk to the lure's edge, the water silver under the stars. You sketch a single reed, its shadow long and soft. You think of your mother, your father, the peacock feathers you studied in Florence. You've lived a life of questions, and not all have answers. You return across loose, the fire low, and add a line to a sketch, a bridge perhaps to somewhere new. You're frail, but your mind soars, still chasing the impossible. Luna purrs and you rest, the night wrapping you in its quiet embrace. You're in the final days now, in Amboise, 1519, and the Loire Valley cradles you like a gentle hand. You're 67, your body frail, your one steady hands trembling as they rest on a notebook. Cloth loose is your sanctuary, its stone walls soft in the firelight, the air carrying the faint scent of spring blossoms and river mist. The Loire murmurs outside, a lullaby that soothes your weary bones. You're sitting by a window, your silver beard catching the moonlight, as you trace a faint line on paper, a curve, perhaps a wing, or maybe just a memory. King Francis I still visits, his voice warm with reverence, but you know time is slipping, like sand through your fingers. Your days are quiet, filled with small moments. You no longer sketch grand machines or murals, but you leaf through your notebooks, their pages worn and crowded with dreams. You see the flying machines from Milan, the heart valves from your secret dissections, the smile of Mona Lisa, still unfinished in your room. You're reflecting on a life of endless questions, some answered, most not. This is a major historical moment. Your final months in 1519 mark the end of a Renaissance giant, as you pass your legacy to Francesco Melzi and prepare to leave the world. Historians still debate whether you felt fulfilled or haunted by unfinished work. Either way, your genius is etched into history, a beacon for centuries to come. You shuffle through the gardens, leaning on Melzi's arm, Luna the cat weaving between your feet. You pause to touch a rose, its petals soft as silk, and smile, remembering the peacock feathers you collected in Florence. You're still vegetarian, sipping broth and nibbling bread, too weak for much else. Your quirks are faint now. You hum old Tuscan tunes, your voice a whisper, and keep a single snail shell on your desk, its spiral a quiet echo of your life's patterns. You've stopped braiding your beard, but you wear your fur-lined cloak, its warmth a comfort against the spring chill. Here's a final chuckle for you. One morning, you tried to show Melzi a new trick, flicking a feather with a string to mimic flight. It tangled in your beard, and Luna pounced, thinking it was a game. You laughed, a soft wheeze, and Melzi sketched a scene, calling it the master's last flight. You framed it by your bed, a reminder of joy. You're teaching less now, but you share stories with Melzi, of Vinci's hills, of the squirrel in Milan, of the Mona Lisa's secrets. You show him her canvas, her eyes still watching, and tell him to guard it well. You're dreaming less of machines now, more of moments. You think of the Arno's flow, of bats in Milan's dusk, of the boy who chased lizards in Vinci. Your notebooks are your legacy, thousands of pages of wings, rivers, and faces. You're tired but content, knowing you've seen more than most. One evening, you sit by the Loire, the water silver under the stars. You don't sketch, just watch, letting the world blur. Luna curls in your lap, her purr a steady hum. You feel light, as if you might finally fly. The room is dim now, the fire low, and you're lying in bed. The lawyers murmur a distant song. Your breath slows, each inhale softer, as if you're slipping into a dream. The Mona Lisa rests nearby, her smile a quiet farewell. Melzi sits close, his hand warm on yours, and you think of Vinci, of olive groves and sunlight. Your life is a canvas, messy, unfinished, but vivid. The world fades, gentle as a sigh, and you drift, carried by the wings you always dreamed of. Your genius lingers, a whisper in the night, guiding others to wonder.